trouble with these. You want these papers?
Yeah, there was glitter all over this table, and I wiped it down, but there's still glitter everywhere. I can't get rid of it. The people who know when Steve was in here, sorry, I'm aware of this.
Good evening. I got 6:45, so we're going to start. We have 3 meetings tonight, so I want to start on time and give everybody as much chance as possible to speak. Just as a reminder, again, this is the first of 7 meetings, or 3 meetings, not 7. That would be terrible. First of 3 meetings, so we do have a lot to get through, so I would ask everybody to keep your comments to 2 minutes, please. We'll try to get through as many people as we can. We do have a meeting at 7 o'clock, so I don't want to take up any more time with that than we have to. So this is a public hearing on 2 annexation ordinances, but in the meantime, Mr. Moss, would you say a prayer for us, please?
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this day, and God, as we come together in this public hearing, God, we pray that you just lead us and guide us in the way we should go. And Lord, let every heart, mind, and soul be together. And we thank you right now. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen. Amen.
So 2 annexations on the agenda for the public hearing. That's parcel 40750032216. That's head property owned by Mr. Head, and then annexation of 4075006323368. That's annexation of Clayton. Any public comments? If you signed in, I appreciate you signing in. We will open up for public comments.
Who gets to speak first?
I guess that's you. I guess that's you.
I live on Wentake Road.
You want to come up so we can hear you, or?
Am I supposed to address you?
State your name and your address.
James Wentake, 153 Wentake Road. My dad came into the town in 1974, and he was honored by the name. And I go, at least I know where I live. It's a nice place to live. It's very peaceful there. Steve Roberson just told me there's going to be a hearing, an annexation. And at the end of the road, there's a sign. Anybody see the sign?
Yeah, we had to drive down to the end of the road.
There's a sign, it says it. Well, I had plans to go someplace else, but I changed them to come here. And I have no idea who's doing what, but I understand something's gonna happen pretty big. And they're gonna run trucks and cars, maybe trains, right through the middle of our property to get the construction material through to whatever they're gonna do, or they're gonna find a new way to get there. So, please help me out. I have no idea how they're gonna do that without destroying our sanctuaries, our sanity, and our lifestyles for the past how many years? I don't get it.
Do you want someone to explain to you a
Yes.
little more?
So let me just say this. We had talked before this. The town administrator is going to be here for the next portion of our meeting, which is actually the voting on the annexation. So rather than take up your time, I know I want to hear from as many people as we can. Rather than take up your time, when we get to a 7 o'clock meeting, I'll ask the administrator to come up and explain some things on the record so that you guys have your answers, your questions answered. Does that work?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on up. Yeah, you need to be informal. Come on up.
Jim Kaiser, 144 Earl Road, just up from Wentake. At 7 o'clock, will we be presented with maps, documents, plat layouts, plans, any of that information, or are we still guessing?
Taking that note for you right now, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good.
We still have ability to talk at 7 o'clock,
Um,
or is this the only time we get to speak?
So this is your chance to speak, so, we definitely want to hear from everybody who wants to speak.
Name's Steve Robertson, 131 Tink Road. Lived there almost 10 years. A lot of concerns that we have no clue what's gonna happen. There's so much natural water, natural lowlands that need to be protected environmentally down there in that land, on this side of 123. Not so much on the south side, but on this side, we have the creeks, we have all that water flow, it's all gonna be disturbed. How are you planning on handling that? I'm not even concerned about the traffic because there's no way that the county's gonna allow 400 to 500 trips up and down itty bitty Wintink Road all day long, every day. It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. So we'd like to know how they're gonna get in and out of the property.
Yes, ma'am.
That will be addressed at the next.
Yes, ma'am.
Russell Oglesby. I'm a little bit concerned, Mayor and Council, that we sit in a meeting, there's no maps, there's no plats, and I understand y'all may have already talked about some things, but how can we honestly ask a question when we have no information? And then it comes to 7 o'clock, there's gonna be limited dialogue?
Mr. Administrator is making notes of all these questions.
So he's gonna have all the answers to all the questions at 7 o'clock. Will I have an opportunity to respond to those questions at 7 o'clock?
Public comment is not on the agenda for the 7 o'clock meeting, so.
So when would I get an opportunity to speak?
So we have, there's part of the process is we will have to still zone the property, which requires public hearing, public comment. If we annex the town, then we have to zone the property. Again, that requires public comment and a public hearing. So there are, and then we have two, so that's 2 meetings for the zoning of the property, after it's annexed in, if it is annexed in. So there are, didn't silence that, excuse me. So there are opportunities other than tonight to share your concern. If this is an annexation hearing, we still have the zoning hearing in which we could listen to other comments as well.
Okay, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but it seems like this is backwards. They have a knowledge and an understanding. I only got 2 minutes and I didn't use up 3. It seems that these people that voted on y'all don't have a voice for a decision, and then you write down questions that he's going to try to pose in this brief session, and then there's other sessions coming later on to talk about zoning, which means that a decision has already been made.
I can assure you that's not the case.
It's not.
No, sir. I can only speak for myself. My decision on whether I vote for the annexation or not is an undecided. That's the reason we're listening to you right now.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Does that mean that you've already got all the information on the flats and the road plans?
No,
So
sir.
if you can't make a decision, none of you can make a decision, so why are we even having a vote at 7 o'clock? Because the information hasn't been provided to you to even study, so how can you make a decision? You're making a decision at 7 o'clock based on 1 minute of, oh, look at this brochure I was handed. That's not due prudence. That's not due prudence for any of you to vote at 7 o'clock. You should abstain and recuse yourselves for not being prepared for this meeting.
Thank you for your comments.
Can we
sir.
get your name and address?
Jim Kaiser,
Okay, and your address?
144 Little Road.
Okay, thank you. That's for the minutes, by the way. So
That's fine, but
So
we
we
have
know
yet to get one answer for, oh, well, we'll vote at 7. Oh, we're gonna vote at 7. Oh, well, we'll have some zoning meetings later. We came here, all of us, with the intention of getting some answers as to what is being proposed. And you can't even open up and tell us all these fine citizens that voted for you, that paid their taxes, you can't even open up and say, well, we're thinking about doing this down here. Why can't you open up? Are you bound by some gag rule from your developer?
No, sir.
Well, then tell us what's gonna happen.
Any other comments?
Do you have any egress, ingress other than Wintink Road?
I am not an engineer, sir.
No, do you have any, for the plan that you know of?
I can't answer your question.
So you don't know?
I can't answer your question. No, I don't know.
You don't know,
No,
or
sir.
you won't tell us?
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know how they're gonna get in and out?
No, sir.
Nobody knows that? Nobody knows that?
I'm speaking for myself, sir.
The young lady next to you saying, nobody knows.
Well, I propose that we table a meeting before it gets so convoluted, we can't understand, nothing. So how can we vote on nothing? So let's table the meeting until we get the facts.
This is a hearing, this is a public hearing in which we are considering annexation of a property, not building on a property, not development of a property, just simply to annex property into the town. The property owner petitioned the city for annexation into the town central, and that's what we're considering.
May I ask a question?
Please.
My name is Callie Bolware, and I'm at 187 Earl Road. My question is just, once annexation is decided, what is the process by which that may change in the future based on information that is learned or zoning or whatever? So if the property is annexed in, and it sounds like you just said that the property owner has requested annexation?
Correct.
Okay, so the town is considering that per the owner's request.
Yes, ma'am.
Once that happens, or if that happens, what is the process by which that could change in a future state? Does it ever go back?
So the process by which annexation is requested of the town?
Or if it is decided tonight at 7 and then something in the future interrupts that, can it ever go back, or does it pretty much always stay in the town?
Does it always stay annexed into the town?
Yeah,
I'll find that answer for you.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Question, Brian Herbst, I'm at 493 Sim School Road. And help me understand this a little bit. What is the advantage of a homeowner getting annexation of their property? What's the driver for this, if you know that?
I'm gonna let the administrator handle that at 7 o'clock. I just wanna make sure that it's correct information.
Does the tax, I'm not sure about the taxes, I've only been in Central for a couple of years now, so if it gets annexed, I'm assuming that property will be paying taxes to Central?
Yes, yes, sir.
And be access to some of the services and such?
Impact fees for the services we render, town police protection, fire
Any estimate
protection.
of what that tax revenue would be for that property?
I can find that out for you.
Okay, thank you.
So the real reason for the annexation, Steve Robertson, Wintink Road again. The real reason for the annexation is to change the zoning. Is that correct?
No,
To a higher density?
the reason for the annexation is because the property owner requested annexation into the town.
But the owner of that property already knows that he can't go through Pickens County because Pickens County just turned down 2 developers right in Earl and another location close by, turned them down because they wanted to do a higher density, more homes per acre. And when they turned it down, the deal did not go through. So that is why the annexation's happening here, so that they don't have to go through the county because they already know they're gonna get turned down by the county for the rezoning. That's why they're coming to the city, because it's an easier walk for them to take.
Thank you for your comments.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yes, sir.
I'm Thomas Hunt, 146 Horizon Drive. I noticed the mayor's letter mentioned Horizon Drive before, but there's nobody approached me about anything, and I assumed that was just they was looking for another way to sneak in the back door. My dad bought 100 acres off of Sim School Road when I was 12 years old, and I've been living there for 60 years. Now, what you're telling us at the meeting that we ain't having because we don't know what we're meeting about is that our landowner has a request to annex 89 acres, and then there's another one that's about 9 acres from the head property. Well, who is the landowner? Well, where are they? Why aren't they here asking, telling us what they're proposing? I mean, simple matter is, I agree with, Mr. Winter, why don't we table this thing until we figure out what we're doing? I mean, no, it sounds to me like you're snowballing somebody, and I'm not I didn't vote for nobody here, because I'm in the county, and I choose to remain there. And I don't want to be in the city, and I don't want no heavy equipment coming through my property. So, Thomas Hunter, 146 Horizon Drive.
So I have a question. So with them, I know in Pecktown, developers that call Wayne was from New York. So I don't know who the developers are from, that's from, I think I win. But they're from like New York. That's the city. They used to the city life. So this is a small town. So they're trying to make it into a city. That's not gonna work.
Can you state your name and your
Alicia
address?
Campbell, 202 Head Street.
Alicia Campbell.
202 Head Street.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Katina Holden, 312 Clayton Street. And I just want to know, what part of Clayton Street are you doing the annexation on? It says Clayton.
It's not Clayton Street.
It's
It's
the
a,
name.
Oh, that's the name of what?
That's just how it's marked. It's
Oh,
not
okay,
Clayton
so
Street.
I thought it was Clayton Street.
that's the name
Well,
of the
forgive me,
person.
that's okay.
That's the name of the individual who owns the property.
Okay.
Anybody that hasn't spoken that would like to speak? Yes, ma'am. Hi.
I'm Nissa Garcia. We live on 1325 Mawbridge Road.
Hi.
This is my daughter, my husband's here. So we just moved, say hi. We just moved from Chicago last June to Central. We could have lived anywhere in the world, anywhere in the US, right? Both of our jobs have always been remote, that's just our careers. But we chose Central for our daughter, our future baby, because of the small town feel. So obviously we're still new to this, we're still learning how things work around here, but will this addition increase our taxes?
We'll get an answer for that question for you.
Okay. I mean, it's all about money, right? That's what my dad taught me. Do we know what percentage it's going to increase for everyone's taxes? Do we know if some parts of Central's taxes will be increased more than others? And if so, when will that take place? Third thing is, for how many years will that increase happen because of all the infrastructure that will have to be built? And then third, is there a plan as well as a budget for the future infrastructure that will have to be built? So I know that's a lot to unpack. I don't know if you have all that information right now, but I think that would be fair for all of us to know those types of questions before anything else continues further along.
I'll make sure that I get those answers for you.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody who hasn't spoken that wants to, we're right past 7 o'clock. I want to make sure that we keep this on schedule. If you haven't spoken yet and would like to, please.
I have already spoken, but I was just gonna ask, Jim Wentink again, 153 Wentink Road. If the plan that we don't know about actually happens where there's no other access and it goes through Wentink Road, how's that gonna affect Wesleyan University? How's it gonna affect our other neighbors? How's it gonna impact the environment? I mean, you come through our road, you're gonna have to cut all the trees down? My dad planted some of those. I don't like the idea. You take one cement truck, one direction, you won't be able to get in or out. End of story.
Thank you. All right, we're at 7 o'clock. If no objections, we'll adjourn this meeting and call the next meeting to order for the special called meeting to consider annexation of parcel number 4075003222160 and parcel 4075006323668. Before we get started, Mr. Administrator, I'd like to call on you to answer any questions that you can and provide some context for the property.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate everybody who came here tonight and expressed some concerns. I think I've got all the questions written down and I'll try to answer them. I think one of the concerns is it's really about annexation, okay? If we don't annex it in, then we don't get a seat at the table with all the concerns that have been brought here tonight. So the question is annex or do not annex. If we do not annex, then we don't have a seat at the table. We have no voice as a town. And I know that council has an agenda of what they want this town to look like. I moved here 16 years ago for some of the same reasons these people live here. Small town, and we want to keep that feel. So, you know, the bottom line is, does the town of Central want a seat at the table when these discussions come? Now, we have been told that they want to build some sort of development. If it stays in the county, they have the possibility of building possibly 700 homes. Under our zoning and ordinances, that's going to be less than half of that. So I think we're trying to kind of control that type of growth. I think one of the other questions was the traffic on those roads. Part of our process is doing a traffic study. So they're going to have to do a traffic study to determine how best, if they choose to develop that property, how best to get egress and ingress, basically. And they're going to have to meet DOT standards to do that. There are no plats and plans. We're just trying to get a seat at the table so that we can get those kinds of things.
Could you walk us through the process of receiving that information, how we receive it and how that's decided, when we get that information, when a developer comes into town? So I guess walk us through, if a developer comes into town and buys a piece of property, wants to annex into the town, can you just walk us through step by step how that works at a high level?
If they want to develop the property, then they're going to have to submit a pre-application for the land development regulations that we've created. Once that's complete and it passes that hurdle, which that also gives the people an opportunity to express their concerns and their views on how it should look. And then after that, we get a fully engineered drawing and then go from there for the permitting process. But along those lines, there's plenty of opportunity for the public to express whatever issues they may have, and council has the same opportunity. Let's see. Somebody was asking about de-annexation. Once it is annexed in, it is difficult to annex out. The only way you can really annex out is at a normal election in November. It gets put on a ballot, and then a certain percentage of the residents of the town have to agree to allow someone to annex out. Now, it seems kind of easy to annex in and difficult to annex out. There's a reason for that. If it was as easy to annex out as it was in, we would have to have a staff constantly annexing people in and annexing them out. You know, every time they get upset that their sanitation rate's too high, they come down to town hall and demand to be annexed out. We annex them out. A couple of months later, they decide it's a bad idea. They come back in and want to annex in. So that's the theory behind it being difficult to de-annex. Advantages of annexation. I think that gentleman, I don't know who he was, but I think he answered his own question. It's about services. We provide police, water, sewer, sanitation, fire protection. Now you're going to get fire protection in the county, but part of paying taxes to the city, you get fire protection. The county has a fire fee. Is that correct, Chief?
Yes.
Okay. And I think somebody mentioned something about the sign being at the end of the road, announcing that there was a public hearing. By state law, the signs have to be at the border of the properties where there's a road. So if I put it anywhere else, then this public hearing would be illegal. So if you look real close when you're riding down 123, there's a sign there too, which I know nobody saw, but it had to be there.
In the woods.
And that's about where it was, but I had to put it on the border of the property.
Couldn't put it at Sim
Up to
School,
123.
a sign at Sim School, just for the heck of it, a Sim School in Winton, you couldn't put one there?
Yeah,
Why couldn't you put it there?
because the place we had to legally put it was where I just
I'm
stated.
talking about a second sign.
Yeah.
I would've gave you the $1.10 for the sign.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you what happens.
Pretty ridiculous.
I'm gonna tell you what happens when you put signs all over town saying there's a public hearing. Then you've got people calling
You got
thinking,
people wondering what
yeah,
they're doing.
yeah, what are you doing with my property?
Right.
Yeah, what are you doing with my property? Well, the property's actually occurring on the other side of town, so that's where the sign is. State law requires it to be there. I had somebody, I think the last question that I have on the list was your taxes going up because of the annexation? The answer is no. Taxes aren't going up, we're just expanding our tax base. And I think they might have followed up with, do you have any idea how much the taxes are? I have a home in town, it's valued at somewhere around $150,000. My taxes last year, I think, were $451. City taxes. Now we have a local option sales tax, which dollar for dollar took care of that. So my taxes for living here, I paid nothing because of local option sales tax. And I haven't paid anything in about 10 years. So taxes aren't going to go up because of this. We're just expanding our tax base. How do we pay for those extra services? It comes from the expanded tax base. It comes from impact fees, because every time you build a home or any kind of structure, we have impact fees in place to help cover that, because we have been rehabbing our sewer system for at least the last 16 years, because that's how long I've been here. And we've acquired a little bit of debt in doing that. And it's the current citizens that have acquired that debt. So when you have new homes built, they're actually taking advantage of what we've already done as a citizens. So the impact fees help cover the expense that they would have paid had they been living here when we incurred that debt. I believe that's all the questions that I had. Any questions from council?
What was the first thing you said when you first got up? I've forgotten already.
Well, when I first got up here, I talked about this being an annexation, and us, if we don't annex it in, then we have no seat at the table.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly what does that mean, no seat at what table we're talking about?
If they choose to do something with the property, then we don't have a seat at the table and have any control over what happens. If it stays in the county, it's just whatever the county decides they want to do. We're not participants, we're bystanders at that point.
And I'd like to try to get an answer to a major concern of most of the people that I've heard speak. I wouldn't want equipment coming down my road either, because we've had it over there already in town, and we've run our roads pretty good. But is it, before we do the final process on this, can we get somebody to find another way in and out? As big as that property is, it should be 2 or 3 ways in and out. I wouldn't even want to build a house in there if we didn't have 2 or 3 entrances and exits.
I agree with you. And if we annex it in, then we'll have a seat at the table and we'll be able to make some of those concerns known to them.
But will we have any control of getting those roads?
Well, we're going to require them to do a traffic study.
But beyond the traffic study, can we say there will be roads here and there or where, rather than this one road, it seems to be the only road in and out right now?
We're going to have some authority to do that, yes.
Okay.
But if we don't annex, then we don't have any authority at all.
Okay.
But if we annex, will the county have a say over those roads, or will we have a say over the roads?
Be our roads then, wouldn't it?
I think the county's gonna have some,
But if there's annexed in, if, that's my question.
yeah.
Would the county have the say-so over the roads, or is it annexed into Central, would we have say-so over the roads?
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think it would be a collaboration with us and the county. I've been down Windchink. I'm the one that put the sign out there. So if it's in the wrong place, you're looking at the guy that put it out there. I don't think Windchink is wide enough for anything to go down, much less my truck. So I think there's gonna have to be some major changes in order for anything to be able to handle the traffic on Windchink. That's just me talking, me driving down the road.
Is the developer responsible for widening that road? How does that process work?
Once you do have a traffic study done, the developer is going to be required to make those changes in order to be able to have the development in there.
And that's part of the land development regulations.
And that's part of the land development regulations that we have in place. You know, our regulations are going to require him to do that. And he's aware of that.
And our regulations do meet county specs, right? So
They meet-
whatever a county road is, it's gonna be our road also.
Right.
On the new construction, that is.
Yeah, the traffic study that we require is DOT certified. DOT approves the type of traffic study that we require.
As far as the entrances also, right?
Right. Mhm.
Do you have a map for us?
Any other questions for town administrator?
Do we have a map for them? We don't, do we?
No, we don't have any plans.
Okay. I just want to make sure the question was
Yeah.
answered.
So you have a name for the developer?
Any other questions from council?
What's the name of the developer? What's the name of the developer?
It's Deep River South is who I've been speaking with.
Deep River South.
Yeah. The sale hasn't gone through, so the current owner is the one that's annexing this in. So this is between us and the current owner.
Is the annexation a part of the approval for the sale?
Any other questions from council?
Is the annexation part of the approval for the sale?
I don't know.
Any other questions from council? Thank you, sir. So the first item on the agenda is annexation of portion 8 acres of parcel 407500322160. That's ordinance number 04042022, annexation of a property owned by Mr. Head. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt on second reading annexation of parcel 407500322160, Annex Head.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion's been first and seconded for the ordinance 04042022 annex the Head property. Any discussion? All in favor of annexation of a portion of parcel 4? Yes, sir.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
This annex, as we annex this in, if we do, we need to make sure we inform everybody of everything that's going on at all times. And however, if we have to do it through internet, if we have to mail letters, whatever the case may be. And we want to make a public record, go on right now saying that every move that the town makes, as well as the developer or whoever, the property owner, Mr. Head himself, we need to notify everybody, because I think the miscommunication and information is where we're having problems. And I do appreciate the information that we got here this evening, but please, let's try to inform everybody what's going on.
Thank you, sir. Well said.
Thank you, sir. That's all I got, Mr.
Any further discussion? Motion is to approve on second reading annexation of parcel 407500322160 annex head property. All in favor of the motion? None opposed, unanimous. Second item on the agenda is annexation of a portion of parcel 4075-00632368, ordinance 04042022, annex Clayton. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt on second reading annexation of a portion of parcel 407500632368, ordinance 4/4/2022, annex Clayton.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir. Again, we need to make sure we inform the people of every move. If they want plats, whatever the case may be, let's please work with the citizens of Central as close as we possibly can. And knowing that it's just an annexation and not a sale or whatever the case may be, the main reason we're doing this is to continue to have control of it. And if we got somewhat control, as he said, a seat at the table, I would say we inspect what we expect. And if we expect a grade, we're gonna inspect it. And as long as we stay in touch with y'all, I think everything will be all right. Can I get a witness? Amen? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any other discussion? I'll just say for my part, my concern is, I agree, Councilman Moss, the communication has not been good, and take responsibility for that. So I thank you for bringing that up, and I think that's right. I think my concern is that the developer, should the purchase of the property go through and the developer takes control of the property, they will develop the property, whether we annex it in or not. I think so. The control issue is certainly one that is on my mind. That's something that we've talked about in the past. So I certainly share those concerns.
Can I ask Mr. Mish a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's say that we decided not to annex. I'm just saying if. It would then go to the county, correct? And it would have to go through all the different scenarios, you know, first reading, second reading, all that stuff. It would have to go through that, and the county would have to approve it. Is that correct?
Well, you said first reading, second reading with the county. It's already in the county, so
Okay.
they don't have to annex it in.
Okay, well, let me ask this then. If the county has, I'm trying to make sure I word
Jurisdiction.
this. What?
If the county has jurisdiction.
Yeah, if the county has jurisdiction, they can turn the builder down, or they can say, yes, to the builder, they can go ahead. Is that correct?
I'm assuming so. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what the county's process is.
Okay.
Yeah, planning commission, just like we do.
Yeah, I'm assuming they probably have a planning commission like we have, and there's probably steps that they go through. But you know, each municipality, each county has different ways of doing things.
Okay, thank you.
Do that goes for the city too?
Yes.
Any further discussion?
Does that,
You to ask him, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
does that go for the city also?
So far as the planning process, yes. I briefly went over that when I was up here. They go through the land use development regulations that we have set aside through the Planning Commission, and that's the very first phase where you come with basically a rough draft of this is what I want to do. And then, you know, the Planning Commission looks at it and makes sure that what they're wanting to do meets the land use development regulations that we have in place. Once that's done, then they go to the next step, which would include a traffic study. Some of the things just off the cuff that we have in the land use development is, depending on how big the development is, we may require sidewalks. things like that, curb and gutter, obviously. But just depending on what size of the development is as to what we require.
Well, I was talking into being considerate of your residents in the community, of how will it affect the area.
Yes, ma'am, I think
That's what I was saying.
we,
I heard you say all that. That's
we are,
giving you clarification of what I
Yes,
was
ma'am.
asking.
yes, ma'am. I appreciate that, and I certainly don't think that any of us make decisions lightly, and these are difficult issues, so I appreciate that. Any other discussion from council? All those in favor of approval and second reading annexation of parcel 407500632368, ordinance 04042022, annex Clayton. Raise your right hand for approval. Those opposed? Motion carries. And without objection, we will adjourn. We're called to order on the work session agenda for Town of Central, work session agenda. We've already said a prayer, so thank you, Joe Moss, for saying a prayer that covered all 3 meetings. In your packets, council, you have the minutes from the last meeting for you to review ahead of our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Give them a minute to clear so we can hear.
Yep.
Can I be excused for a moment?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, you know when the zoning meeting will be? When they're trying to get the higher density?
We need to just, everything that we do, we just need to publicize.
the top of my head.
It's not tonight, right?
No, but if you call town hall, promise.
It's not your fault. Everybody. But it's a lot of action. But no, when I see directly, we all do. I know how to be a case of you can tell me one thing and tell something. Over here, I might get another. That's the problem. I've got some new ones. She's right on home.
They're gonna meet
People are upset when you have
I believe the councilman spoke for us.
By no means, I'm trying to.
I didn't take that way. I don't get offended.
Yeah.